we use what is called a stage gate method. Okay? Usually companies have 5 stages, and this is stage 1. Stage 1, or it's called concept. These are the key deliverables of that. Okay? And typically, I would say in this room you're either in stage 1 or we'll look at stage 2, but that's where you're going to be in. But by the time you say, I understand stage 1, you should understand the market and the needs. Like, what are the features that are going to be in the product? Okay? You should absolutely have that, and that will drive. And when we say develop concept, it's like a idea of the pieces that will go inside your product. And then business plan obviously is incremental or next generation, so you'll know how much money to be made and things like that. So that is stage 1. Then we get into what is called development stage, and the needs have to be translated in, like, customers will say, I want more memory. How much memory should I provide, right? So you need specs, and by the end of development stage, you should be able to make one of the product. All the working parts. Usually it's like a large breadboard. It's not going to be like, if you're doing a cell phone, it's not going to be like a very small cell phone, but it'll have all the working pieces in there. Okay? That is like the alpha prototype. At that stage, you do a project plan, and everything else beyond that becomes very predictable. Then the next stage is, because we're a medical device, we call it verification and validation. Verification, you're making sort of 100 pieces of it. You got prototype manufacturing, you can make a few of those, if you will. By validation, you should be able to mass produce. I'm able to do 1,000. I have nailed down all the manufacturing, where it is going to be manufactured, what are the supplier base, the whole gamut, if you will, right? For Model 3 Tesla, that huge lithium factory is being built. If he's going to double the capacity of lithium batteries in the world, he has to source so much lithium. The question, and that's something obviously they have addressed, is there that much lithium available? Or do we have to make deals with mining companies to sort of say, this is our 3-year vision, you start producing, right? He's not getting into mining of lithium. Okay? And then the last one is launch. Usually at the end of this validation stage is you start selling. Okay? And launch is essentially about 6 to 9 months after you start selling it. You're doing post-market surveillance, right? You're looking at, by now you have production history, you're looking at quality, you're looking, are you meeting cost? The big thing is a launch, right? Initially you may say we are going to launch in the US, but then we have to look at Europe. Is the regulatory paperwork on track to have this global sales, if you will? And medical device, depending on the scale of things, it might take 3 years, like a significant device, not just a small tweak, if you will, right? So you have to celebrate. The people in the team have been working very hard for 3 years. That is the sort of, they live and die with that, so you absolutely have to do that. So this stage gate approach is also useful. For example, when you go and try to get funding, let's say you have an idea of a product and you say, you know what, this is going to make $50 million, give me 10 in 3 years, right? Now, that is an ask, right? But if you break it up into small sections, you sort of say, to concept, usually the money increases, right? You sort of say, this is my vision of the product to make, do some market research, etc. I just need to validate my assumptions. I need $500,000. Okay? Somebody is willing to pay you that much, and you say, I'll come back and answer these questions for you for that kind of money. And if at that point we'll reevaluate, if it still has that 50 million, this one, give me money to make prototype. So if you ask your money in tranches following this one, you're more likely, to the person you're asking, he's more convinced that you have been methodical rather than just saying, give me $10 million 3 years later. It's hard to get money that way, very hard, right? I mean, even in businesses, right? Because what happens is we start projects and suddenly we find out that here we cannot manufacture at cost. We need it to be less than $5, but we are coming in at $8. So if you ask money in these tranches, a project gets killed at any of these sort of gates, if you will.